And as if we needed yet another example of the extremism of Donald Trump's presidency, the partisanship, the concentration of power, the lawlessness of it, now we have the persecution of Letitia James, who dared to finally hold Trump accountable for all the fraud he had committed in New York. So Donald Trump literally orders his Justice Department to prosecute Letitia James. And that Justice Department says, we don't really have any charges. And Trump says, I don't care. You're fired. You prosecute her. And that's what's happening. That's what he's doing with our federal government. And I really hope people understand that this continuing resolution fight is about more than just that one vote. It is about Trump's budget, Trump's federal government, and the way he is just trashing the Constitution and turning us into an autocracy and turning us away from being a constitutional republic. We've got to stand up and fight back against that every chance we have.
So it's day 9 of the shutdown, and there's been no call by House Republicans to come back to Washington and negotiate. They're still holding out against making healthcare more affordable in the country. They're against Affordable Care Act exchange subsidies and tax credits, and they're against helping people on Medicaid get access to care. So we're going to continue this fight every single day until we get the resolution we need for American families.
Hi, it's Congresswoman Norma Torres, and I'm here at Ontario Airport. I just finished a tour with Ontario officials to get an update on the status of the flights coming in and out and the workforce here at the airport. And this message is really for all of the federal employees that are showing up every single day to work here. Thank you so much. I am working with the Democratic caucus to ensure that you are made whole with your paychecks, and we are pushing Republicans to come back to the negotiation table because we need to open up the federal government. Thank you so much for showing up to work every day.
I thank Senator Gillibrand for her work with me on this legislation. I think most Americans, and not a few senators, are shocked when they learn how little defenses our troops have against drones that are approaching their military bases. They really have to wait until an unidentified drone demonstrates hostile intent before they can neutralize the threat. That's not what we would say if a box truck was driving up to a base. We shouldn't have to say it if a drone is approaching a base. Senator Gillibrand cited a lot of recent threats here. This legislation would close the gap in law, simplify military guidance, and make our troops safer. I would urge everyone a yes vote, and I think Senator Gillibrand and I would welcome a voice vote as well.
Meanwhile, the Democrat shutdown is causing pain and suffering for hardworking Americans, including our military, our air traffic controllers, and impoverished mothers, people with young children, people that have to live not the greatest of lives. But we're doing so many tax cuts. We've cut their taxes, the great big beautiful bill. We've cut their taxes at levels that nobody's ever seen. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. It's been a great thing for a lot of people. They're doing great. Despite all of the damage that it's caused, the shutdown has been, pretty damaging. I mean, it's not yet because it's early, but it gets a little bit worse as it goes along. And we'll be making cuts that will be permanent. And we're only going to cut Democrat programs. I hate to tell you. I guess that makes sense. But we're only cutting Democrat programs. But we're going to start that, and we have Russell who can talk to you about it if he wants to, but we'll be cutting some very popular Democrat programs that aren't popular with Republicans, frankly, because that's the way it works. They wanted to do this, so we'll give them a little taste of their own medicine.
Take me through that confrontation with Speaker Mike Johnson, because we played it there. People at home may not have heard all of the context of it.
The context is actually, Senator Kelly and I weren't looking for a confrontation with Speaker Johnson. We actually went to have a press conference in front of his office because he called us out and blamed us for two things. Number one, keeping the government shut down. And number two, for stopping Adelita Grijalva from getting sworn in. And I wanted to make it clear to the American public that the only reason this is happening is because, Speaker Mike Johnson is protecting pedophiles. That's all he's doing right now. And he needs to listen to his masters, to Donald Trump, to whoever it is, to make sure that she does not sign that petition and put them in a very awkward position. And his position keeps on changing. He keeps lying and lying and lying. He expects all of us to keep lying. And then he decided to invoke my name, and I'm just not going to stand for it. So I went there to have a conversation, and then he tried to come out and somehow thinks that he could lie to my face and believe that I wasn't going to call him out on it, and I did.
If John Thune thinks that I don't have the resolve to stand here and stand with Nevadans who need and deserve the dignity of just being able to go to the damn doctor and afford their prescriptions, then Leader Thune doesn't know who Jackie Rosen is.
Knew that we had to keep the government open. The Democrats asked Tom Cole in their negotiations to give them two things. One, that it'd be short term. So 7 weeks is a short term. They also said that it would be a clean CR, meaning that there'd be nothing added to or taken away from present funding that's going on right now. That was agreed to. This is the exact same bill that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats passed this past March. Nothing has changed. We haven't taken anything out of it. We haven't added anything to it except some security dollars. We have done our job. We have sent the bill over to the Senate. All they have to do is pass it. We sit here with a shutdown that's been brought on by the Democrats, who are now asking for $1.5 trillion more into this supplemental. There's certainly legitimate debates that will come on both sides of the aisle. Yet at this point in time, I think the key issue, and that's all it should be, is keeping the government functioning for the people. I've come to understand that shutdowns don't work, because in the end they open up, and in general they come back to a worse solution for the shutdown party than they would have had they moved forward in negotiation. You can't tell senior citizens on Social Security that they're not going to be resourced. You can't tell the military, at least you shouldn't be telling the military, that their families aren't going to be paid. But the Democrats have all that power in their hand.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
The top economic advisor also says the shutdown will cost us GDP about $15, the U.S. GDP about $15 billion a week. At what point is it counterproductive to fight to save money on health care if that fight is costing the U.S. money?
My point exactly. This is why the Democrats should make the easy choice. Open the government back up. They hold the keys to this in the United States Senate. We acted, and of course, in the U.S. House, we voted to keep the government open. Only one Democrat joined us in the U.S. House. Everybody else has been screaming about their proposal. This is why we should open the government. And the second part of which I think a lot of people are missing, we're finally having some good economic news. The economy is growing at 3.8%. Inflation is static. We have a record stock market. Interest rates are finally coming down. This is all good news. news. Why disrupt this economic comeback after 4 years of inflation by shutting down the government?
So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Prices have not come down. 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 Prices have not come down.
All right, I'm on my way to the Senate floor to ask some senators to play a new game here at the U.S. Capitol. Who said it? Britt, we're playing a game, Who Said It? Okay, we're playing this game, Who Said It? All right, so who said passing a CR will avert a harmful and unnecessary government shutdown? Who said that?
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer on the first try. It's the politics of idiocy as related to the CR. Who said that?
I would say that's got to be Senator Kennedy.
No, oh my God, no. I'll give you one more guess.
Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer in 2013. That's what Chuck Schumer said. Passing a CR will avert a harmful and unnecessary government shutdown. Who said it?
I'm going to go with Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer, that's right, in 2024.
And here we are in the Schumer shutdown. Can you believe that?
That's amazing. Holding our government workers hostage for a policy goal is no way to govern. Who said it?
I'm going to guess Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer again. Whoa. Amazing. Every day gets better for us. Who said that?
That'd be Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer said that just yesterday. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country, to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down. Who said that?
I would say Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's employee in the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Schumer on the first try. Congratulations, Bernie Rand. We're sending you a candy bar.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yesterday, Leader Schumer indicated that the longer this goes on, this is better for the Democrats. Do you believe, as Republicans suggest, that that's a calloused remark, that this is kind of a scorekeeping going on here?
House and Senate Democrats have been completely aligned.
Today at Mom's Restaurant in Trenton, a downriver institution and classic Michigan diner. I was excited to join all the staff to talk about how the balanced bipartisan budget I signed yesterday is going to lower costs for them and their families. First, tips. We're ending state taxes on tips, saving up to 300,000 Michiganders an average of $400 a year. Next is overtime. We're ending state taxes on overtime, saving up to 500,000 Michiganders an average of $500 a year. These two tax cuts build on our successful Working Families Tax Credit, which delivered an average combined tax refund of more than $3,800 to 650,000 families last year. And Social Security. We're ending state taxes on Social Security, saving 40,000 eligible seniors an average of $500 a year. So this tax cut builds on our work to roll back the retirement tax on seniors, which saves them an average of $1,000 a year. As you can see, we're saving people money, and I'm proud to celebrate our balanced bipartisan budget that's going to lower costs for millions of hardworking Michiganders and their families. We got it done by working together because that's what Michigan's all about.
While Republicans shut down the government, they're driving up healthcare costs for families. Their big, ugly bill cuts Medicaid, targets Medicare, and takes healthcare away from hardworking people. And now, families are paying the price. In Speaker Mike Johnson's district, a 60-year-old couple's premiums could rise by nearly $20,000 a year. That's not an expense any family can afford. While Republicans reward their donors, Americans pay the bill. That's why Democrats are fighting to protect our healthcare.
Rather than tackling the most pressing issues facing our nation, including the rising costs of healthcare, Republicans are running from their responsibilities. Take, for example, Iowa's 1st Congressional District, represented by Congresswoman Mariannette Miller Meeks. This, by the way, is the same member who said she'll hold town halls when hell freezes over. Just this week, a 60-year-old couple earning $82,000 a year will see their annual premiums rise by 200%, $13,000 a year. Or another example, Republican Congressman Gabe Evans, Colorado District, a family of 4 earning just $64,000 a year, will see their premiums increase 195%, or $2,500 a year. I hope that Republicans will wake up, that they'll do the right thing, and that they'll work with us to keep healthcare costs down.
Democrats have shut down the government because they refuse to accept a clean, nonpartisan bill. Democrats still cannot get over the fact that the American people elected President Trump.
That's just BS. The reason the government shut down is because Republicans, they're refusing to fix the mess they made that is making healthcare costs skyrocket. Look, the Affordable Care Act is only affordable because of tax credits for folks who get their health insurance through the ACA. President Trump promised to lower your costs and make America healthier. What Republicans in Congress are doing is the opposite, raising the cost of health care and making Americans sicker. This is about health care, not some imagined bitterness by Democrats about the last election. Health care.
On the Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have two medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get to get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right.
Republicans are waging a war on your health care on every front. They're gutting Medicaid, cutting coverage from millions of working families. They're going after your Medicare, shredding the safety net to lower taxes for their billionaire friends. They're defunding Planned Parenthood, blocking care for women nationwide. Hospitals are closing. Nearly 300 at risk across rural America. They're pushing vaccine conspiracy theories that will make all our children sicker. And they're gutting cancer research, shutting down the labs that deliver cures. From Medicare to medicine itself, this is a Republican war on healthcare. We have to fight back before it's too late.
I'm going to say something I never imagined I would say. I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Take a look.
Typically a MAGA loyalist, she's broken with the GOP over concerns that her children's health care premiums will double next year.
2 out of the 3 have aged out of being on my insurance. And so you're seeing me being a mom who's frankly really pissed off.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene is upset that her kids, her adult children, are going to see their health insurance costs double. And that's what it has taken for Marjorie Taylor Greene to realize the disastrous impact of the bill she voted on. She doesn't get off the hook for this. She voted for this. And it shouldn't take the impact on your own kids to make you realize what a disaster it is for the country. And it is a disaster. Insurance premiums are going up for millions of people all over the country. Hospitals are already on the brink of closure. Clinics are already closing. This is going to amplify the harms. It's going to mean that millions of people simply can't afford their health insurance coverage. But here's the thing. As powerful as those numbers may be of the millions of people who are going to lose their health care, it doesn't really hit home until you talk to a person so directly impacted. I want you to watch this video of Samantha. She's from Redlands, California. She is a pediatric cancer survivor. She can describe better than I think anyone in the Congress of the United States what is at stake in this healthcare debate. What is at stake if people can't afford to access care?
My name is Samantha. I'm 23 years old, and I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a very rare type of bone cancer, at the age of 19. It is considered a pediatric type of cancer, so I was treated pediatrically. I underwent a limb salvage surgery. I had it in my leg, and After that, it left me permanently disabled. I would say that it's important to strike a deal and to come to a resolution and come together for this, because specifically for cancer patients and families affected by cancer, it is literally a matter of life or death. Either we can afford our treatment or we can't.
I'm very grateful to Samantha for her courage in speaking out. So I would ask you, if you're willing to share a video of yourself explaining why healthcare is so important to you, what it would mean to lose access to healthcare, what it would mean if your insurance costs doubled and you couldn't get the treatment that you needed. If you're willing to tell your story is powerful. And likewise, one of my colleagues, Raphael Warnock, shared just the invoices from one of his constituents, what they paid for their health insurance premiums last year and what their bill looks like this year as a result of that big ugly bill. If you're willing to share that with me too, and those notices are going out as we speak, that can be powerful. Help us make the case in the Senate to change this terrible law, to save health insurance for millions of Americans. Your stories are powerful.
So Republicans know their position is indefensible, which is why they're resorting to lies and excuses, lies that get more desperate by the day. They're lying because they don't want the American people to know the truth. And what is that truth? The truth is that Republicans are happy to make permanent massive tax cuts for billionaires in their big, ugly bill, but refused to make permanent tax credits hardworking families rely on to get their health care.
Hi, we are the Fall Interns.
And this is everything our boss did this September.
The congressman delivered remarks on the House floor to honor the Americans who lost their lives on September 11th. He reflected on their sacrifice and emphasized our nation's enduring strength. How even in the face of tragedy, we come together, support one another, and remember the lives lost and the heroes who rose up.
In early September, Team Vindman reached a huge milestone in returning over $3.5 million in federal benefits to our constituents. If you need help with a federal agency, feel free to reach out to our office.
Our office also introduced several new bipartisan bills, including
the Child Rescue Act, which is a bipartisan bill that protects children from abuse and exploitation,
and the Nitazene Control Act, which is the first ever bill to combat nitazenes, a synthetic opioid that is 40 times stronger than fentanyl. This bill would close loopholes and give law enforcement the tools to save lives.
Team Vindman went to the U.S. Naval Academy to honor the proud history and traditions of our U.S. service academies. As a veteran, Representative Vindman understands the role they play in shaping future U.S. military leaders.
In the district, the congressman hosted a unions worker roundtable in Woodbridge alongside AFSCME and SEIU. They discussed the big ugly bill, its impact on workers, and proposed cuts to SNAP and other essential programs.
Our team also hosted a federal workforce job and resource fair, seeking to connect employers with highly skilled job seekers, including former federal employees, contractors, and others looking to re-enter public service.
Congressman Vindman visited Ukraine on official business. While there, he underscored that defending Ukraine's national sovereignty is essential to America's national security. He made clear that the United States must remain steadfast against Russian aggression.
We also launched a 7 Books for VA 7 reading challenge, open to elementary school students across our district. Check out Representative Vindman's website to download your reading log.
As September ended, Congressman Vindman called out radical Washington Republicans on their reckless shutdown. He made it clear that he will only support a budget that protects Virginians' health care, invests in our public schools, and lower costs for hardworking families.
September was busy, but the work doesn't stop here.
Stay tuned to see what our boss is up to next month.
Any Republicans here?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, we couldn't find any.
No Republicans?
House Democrats are here, ready to work.
Ready to work.
That's right. One reason they're having a shutdown is they don't want to swear in Adlia Grahova, who will be the last signature to get the Epstein files released. You think maybe that's why there's a shutdown?
They've been acting mighty suspicious for a while.
I know.
Probably a part of it.
The illegal deployment of troops in our streets, this shutdown, all orchestrated by Trump, it's not going to distract us here from continuing to pursue justice for the survivors of the Epstein sex trafficking.
That's right.
You're damn right.
Hey everyone, it's Suhas. So I'm here in Ashburn with Courtney. Courtney, you're a contractor, and we're talking about the shutdown right now and the fact that there was already a shutdown happening, right? What happened to your contractor job?
Well, in January, I actually lost my job as a contractor implementing USAID and State Department program grants.
Yeah, and what was the work you were doing, and what did you have to give up with that work?
I was managing democracy, governance, and human rights programs
That
abroad.
sounds important. Okay.
It was pretty important. And what happened when those programs were terminated was, for one of them in Afghanistan, we were supporting shelters and young boys, providing them support, medical supplies, education. And when that program was terminated, we had to hand them back to the Taliban.
Oh my gosh. And you did food assistance too, is that right?
Our work was also included on food assistance. So we did a number of programs with school feedings abroad to ensure that young people had proper nutrition.
And what did that do for you personally? How's the job search been?
Personally, it's been devastating. The job market is absolutely abysmal here in Northern Virginia. And for those of us that worked in international development, I've applied to over 75 jobs and have only been able to find a minimum wage part-time job, and only in the last few months.
You lost your health care, right? And with the Medicaid cuts plus the stuff that's happening with allowing these tax credits to go away, this would maybe double or triple your health care, right?
That's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm afraid of. I'm on a plan that I purchased through the Virginia marketplace, and actually receive a state subsidy since my income is so low, since I've been out of work since January. And I am incredibly worried that if this shutdown and the CR comes through, I'm going to lose my healthcare benefits because I'm not going to be able to afford the premiums.
So we should end the shutdown, but we should also save healthcare, right?
We should end the shutdown and save healthcare.
All right, you heard it first from a contractor here in Loudoun.
This bipartisan legislation will correct one of the deepest injustices impacting disabled veterans. The wounded veterans tax, as it stands now, prevents more than 50,000 combat injured veterans who were forced to retire to be barred from a full military pension they earned or were promised. The Major Richard Starr Act would right this long-standing injustice and finally provide these military retirees their full VA disability and Defense Department retirement benefits. It simply ensures that the benefits we promised and the benefits they've earned are the benefits that are now delivered. It's that simple. Not clawed back, as happens now, from the heroes who have sustained those combat-related injuries. Since we don't have unanimous consent to the Major Richard Starr Act today, let's agree to a vote. Let's have a time agreement that would authorize the Senate to take a single up and down vote on passage of this bill before the end of the year. This time agreement doesn't guarantee passage. It simply guarantees a vote. One vote. It could start and finish in half an hour or 45 minutes. Surely the Republican leadership can spare that short time to give these combat injured veterans a single vote on this bill. To those veterans, it's not only a matter of quality of life and sometimes survival, it's fundamental fairness. They were promised. They've earned it. They deserve it. They need it. They ought to have it. And this measure simply would assure a vote. A vote. We ought to face our responsibilities. Maybe my colleagues, even though 76 of them have co-sponsored, that's 3/4 of this body, maybe it would still fail for whatever reason. But I'd like to take my chances.
Well, my new quoted rate for the exact same plan, bronze plan, which is supposed to be the basic plan, is $1,155 per month. So it's more than doubled. It's, I reckon.
Yeah, that's almost triple.
Yeah, 160%. So
Yeah.
it's a big jump. I wanted to be conservative. I wanted the budget plan. I'm in relatively good health.
Right, and you're out of $9,000 before, if you were hospitalized, before the plan even kicks in.
Yes. I would have to pay out of pocket. And, along with healthcare, everything else has become more expensive. Car insurance, we're still paying mortgage. Groceries are more expensive. So it's sort of an unknown, and it introduces a lot of stress and uncertainty into this new phase of our life of retirement.
And you retired after how many years of work, sir?
I was in libraries for 40 years.
40
ever
years.
since I finished my library degree.
Do you think you might have to go back to work or get a job?
Possibility, and of course, that's the kind of thing you think about when you look at all these expenses. You know,
folks, this is what this fight is about. Folks who have worked for decades, in this case, working with school children, should be able to retire with dignity and not have to spend $1,100 a month for their health care. I'm going to keep fighting for this gentleman and for people like him.